Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play Prank Kids. I'm going to be going over my deck list, going over every choice, then I'm going to show some basic combos and what combo lines you should go for when you want to play around Nibiru, certain hand traps and stuff like that. The reason I'm making this video is I've gotten a bunch of requests to help people with Prank Kids and teach them how to play the deck since I got first place at the Grim YGO remote duel event, and I thought it would be easier to just make a video on it rather than teach every single person who asks me. Okay, going into the list here, I decided to play 3 of every Prank Kid and only 2 place. The reason for this is having 3 kids in deck is much better for the grind game, in my opinion, as we are playing 3 desires. It's like you would much rather have a Prank Kids monster in deck than a place in the grind, so you can continue to combo off even after resolving desires and etc. Usually pranks prevents you from getting into a position with having no Prank Kids in deck, but if you're playing against a good player, they will out the pranks, as it is very vital to the Prank Kids board and the grind game, which means you will need more names in deck, which is the reason I'm playing 3 Roxy's over 3 place. The reason for 3 Pandemonium is you always want to draw this card. It is absolutely insane. Even if I wasn't playing Desires, I would probably still be playing 3 Pandemonium. It's the best extender in the deck, other than Instant Fusion. It just lets you extend through Ash, through Nib, through Droplet, through anything really. It's the best reactive card, best card going second, first. It's such a crazy card. The fact that this is a quick play is just insane. Pranks is such an insane card. It helps the grind game a lot. It just keeps putting Prank Kids back in deck, keeps getting you draws every turn, making you go plus, puts your extra deck cards back for more fusion plays. It even has an effect to summon a token, which does come up quite a lot. For extension, to go into Doodle after you get ashed. For link climbing into Unicorn or Roaring. This is just such a crazy card, and it's definitely needed for the grind game. The reason I'm playing 2 is obviously we are playing Desires. If we get rid of pranks, harder to grind with the deck, like a lot harder to grind with the deck. It's not impossible, but you just have to play very smart if you lose your pranks. The reason I'm not playing Plan is not very good right now. Like, it recycles in the battle phase. It's good against like control decks like Shadow or like Eldritch, I guess, but against all these combo decks, it's just too slow. It doesn't get you advantage like Pranks, which draws you a card as well. It's just not the best right now anyways. In a different format Plan, it could definitely be good. Called by the Grave, obviously an insane card. It counters Ash, hand traps. Desires, it's a +1. It's Ash bait. Having more cards in hand is always good, especially since we're playing Roxy's and Droplet. Cosmic, right now this is just insane. Like, it outs the Schism from Shadow permanently. Against the mirror match, you can hit the Pandemonium and out it permanently, or you can even out the pranks, hurt their grind game a lot. Against Dragon Link, you can hit Tidying and it won't be in grave, so they can't reborn Chamber. Going first against Dragon Link, this is also a pretty insane card because you can hit Boot Sector, you can hit World Legacy. It's a pretty good card. And obviously it's pretty insane against Eldritch. The reason I'm main decking Cosmic over Twister at the moment is because I really don't like the discards, having to discard to out cards. So I'm main decking Cosmic as it outs cards permanently, and we're already playing 2 discard S cards like Droplet and Roxy's. So playing another discard card is just very rough. Like Twister is only comes in the control when you're playing against the control decks in game 2 and 3, obviously. In the Mirror, Shadow, Eldritch, Geist, anything like that. Droplet, it's 100% needed in this deck. It hits Winda, hits the Dragon board, the Mirror even. This card is insane, and you need this card to be able to play, to even be able to play going second. And even going first, you can just set it and it's another interruption. It's kind of crazy. The reason you don't want to play Dark Ruler in this deck, it conflicts with Lampsies, because it has to inflict a 500 to special summon the Prank Kids monster, which is kind of bad. I prefer playing the Droplet. Instant Fusion, insane card. You can, if you draw this card, you can play into Nib and not care at all. Combo out of your head. And then if they nib you, Instant Fusion, just revive them back. You just got a free token for nothing. Ash, Nib, Gamma, I feel are the best hand traps right now. Ash is the most flexible hand trap. It hits almost every deck. Gamma is insane. It outs a monster and negates a monster effect. It's a really good card. Initially, I was playing Droll over Nib, but I felt Droll in the main deck was not very impactful, and it most of the time it was just stuck in my hand and I never used it. Whereas if it was a Nibiru, it was always coming up every time. So I decided to play Nibiru over the Droll in the main deck, as I feel it's more impactful generically than Droll. Going on to the side deck choices, Judgment. Initially this was there can be only one, but like the Prank Kids board of Pandemonium and Butler, Double Butler, plus hand traps is only losing to like Twin Twister, which there can be doesn't help with at all. I feel that Judgment is just better because it negates the Twin Twister and they go -2, and you get to keep your Pandemonium and your hand traps and everything. It's pretty good. I kept Skill Drain. This card is absolutely insane in this deck. If you're playing against any combo deck, even some control decks, because all your monster effects activate in the graveyard, you do not need to activate any of the on-field effects. Like if you're going first, you're already activating the on-field effect of Doodle, so you probably won't need to use it again. And then you just set Skill Drain and all your effects activate in Grave or Tribute off the field as cost, which dodges Skill Drain, which is crazy. For the back row hate, I went with Duster, Triple Twister, and Pank. Duster, obviously an insane one-off that just outs your opponent's entire back row. It's a crazy card. Twin Twister, this card is very good because you can act, it's a quick play and it outs 2 cards, which is better than Lightning Storm at the current moment, because it's very good in the mirror because you can destroy Pandemonium before they ever get the chance to use it. You can chain it to Schism, where Lightning Storm, they can just chain Schism. It's not as impactful. You can chain it to Eldritch traps. I feel Twister is much better right now than Lightning Storm. Pankatops, going second, you special it, out a monster, pop another card. This card is crazy. Contact C is a very, very good card right now. It's very high impact. Your opponent has to go very neg to even out this card. Against Dragon Link and Prank Kids, if you use this at the right time, they can't do anything. Even against Shadow, if they are playing the Maximus build and they go to secure Gardener and you drop the Contact C, they can't fusion summon at all. So that puts them in a really bad position. Unless they are playing Shekhanaga, but most builds are not playing Shekhanaga, of course. Droll and Lockbird is good against Dragon Link, and it's okay against Shadow. Against Dino, it's pretty good. I never liked it in the main deck. It's only very impactful in specific matchups. Okay, moving on to the extra deck. Free Meow Meow is mandatory for the grind game. You cannot play any less. So here we go into free Doodle and only 1 bow. Some builds play 2 Doodle and 2 bow. You need 4 Link 2s. It doesn't matter which one. It's up to personal preference. I prefer free Doodle because it's better in the grind game than 2 bow. Like if you want to go for the pranks combo, you can go into 2 Doodle and then go into a bow and just shuffle the extra Doodle back, just as the same as you would before. Unicorn for climbing into access and it outs a card. It's insane. Roaring Roaster. This was originally Phoenix, but figured out that at any point you're making Phoenix, you can just as easily make Roaring Roaster. And this just outs all back row, which is much better. And it's a Prank Kids card, so it also triggers your Prank Kids. And if your opponent is playing Shadow and they use Maximus, you can just send this to grave and you can add any card in your grave back to your hand, which is crazy. Access code, obviously mandatory. You make it off of Unicorn. It gets big. You can pop 2, 3, 4 cards. Crazy card. Then just attack for game. It outs Dragoon. It just gets bigger and beats over it. Your opponent can't respond to it. This card is just absolute nuts. Battle Butler, obviously the best interruption the deck has. 2 Regekis, crazy. 2 Rocket Ride, 1 to make of Pandemonium and 1 for the instant fusion. The second one comes up quite a lot. Weather Washer, for the control matchups, you always go for Weather Washer. Summon back 2 by banishing Meow in your opponent's end phase. You're starting your turn with 5 monsters. Go straight into Roaring, destroy all their back row. Or even go straight into Totally with 2 Dropsies. And they are forced to deal with the Totally. Or you just go into doing whatever you want. This card is crazy. And if they do out the Totally, you can either just spin back the Totally or add back Dropsies back to your hand. This card is just insane. Okay, now I'm going to show off some combos with the deck and teach you all how to play this properly. Okay, now I'm going to be showing you guys the standard 1-card combo in Prank Kids. So first you're going to start off with any Prank Kid. Normal summon it. Go into Meow. Trigger the Prank Kid to summon one from deck. Usually the second Prank Kid is always Fancies, but if you're starting with Fancies, you send the Pandemonium off of it and you special either Dropsies or Lampsies. My personal preference is to always summon Dropsies over Lampsies because Dropsies can be revived later off of something like Rocket and Washer to go into Toad. Dropsies is more defensive than Lampsies. It gives you more potential to survive if your opponent somehow has something like Twin Twister or play through your interruptions. Lampsies is cool because it helps put you in a better position to OTK on the following turn. But I just like Dropsies. It's better in my opinion. And then here, if Fancies is your second summon, obviously you go into Doodle, but here you chain block Doodle always with your second kid. In this case, you will send Pranks off of Fancies, and you will add the Pandemonium while summoning the other name for Butler. There's 2 ways to play this. You can choose to not summon the kid and go for a Weather Washer play instead, which is safer and doesn't play into Nibiru. But it's also risky at the same time if you're playing against a combo deck because they can just kill you. Like Dragon Link can OTK through Weather Washer board because they can just make Boral Swords, damage. If it doesn't even have the Bow Wow protection, they can even just pop them with Levianeer. To go for the Weather Washer play, you need like 3 or 4 hand traps here. That would be the only time you would go for this. Like, let's say Gamma Ash Nib plus like Droplet or something. At that point, I would definitely just not summon this kid and add 2 back and just set Pandemonium. But if you don't have anything, then you have to go for this play. You just have to play into Nib and hope they don't have it. This is only the 1 card combo. With other hands, you'll easily be able to play through Nib. I'll just showing this because you need to know this combo to play this deck. You go Pandemonium, make Rocket, use your kid to summon the last kid you haven't summoned, which in this case is Roxy's. Then you use Rocket Ride effect to summon back the Doodle and any kid, it doesn't matter. You use the Doodle now, you add back the Pandemonium and Pranks, and then you use these 2 kids to go into the Bow Wow. If you have another kid in hand, you can also discard it to summon a token after this and go into another Doodle for more Pranks fodder. But here, since you have no cards, obviously the 1 card combo, you just go straight into Bow Wow. And off of Roxy's, banish any card, summon one of the Butler names. The best one to have for your opponent's turn, in my opinion, is Fancies. It has the 2k defense, of course, which is harder for them to run over, threaten it with a normal summon, and entering battle phase. Then you set the Pandemonium, activate Pranks, end phase. You want to shuffle back the Roxy's. You want to shuffle back the Rocket Ride, and you want to shuffle back the same name as the one you have on field. So in this case, Fancies. Then you get the draw, which you see we drew a hand trap. With Nibiru, it's interesting because you can just hold the Nibiru. They'll be trying to force the Pandemonium, and then once they go deep into their combo, you can just drop the Nibiru and then just go for a Weather Washer play instead, which is funny. Yeah, okay, this is the 1 card combo. In your opponent's turn, you use the Bow Wow, add the 2 names, and then of course you Pandemonium for the double Regeki Butler. Now I'll be going over some other combos. Okay, here's the next combo. In this combo, I'll be showing you how to play around Nib if you open 1 Butler name and any Prank Kid. So you go to summon the Prank Kid that isn't the Butler name in your hand. Since we have 2 Butler names here, it doesn't matter. You summon either of them. And you go into the Meow Meow and you trigger the kid to summon the other Butler name. In this case, it's Fancies. Then you go Doodle. Doodle, send the Pranks at the Pandemonium. You use the Doodle to add back the 2 Butler names, and then set Pandemonium under 4 summon. A very important thing to remember while playing this deck is that you can activate the first part of the Prank Kid's effect without summoning the Prank Kid from your deck. The summon is optional, so for example, you can use Fancies to send a card to grave, but you don't need to special summon. You can use Dropsies to gain the 1000, but you don't need to special summon. That's something important to keep in mind while playing this deck. Okay, that's the end of that combo. We'll move on to our next. In this combo, I'll be showing you what to do if you open 2 kids, Pandemonium, and your Prank Kid gets ashed. So what you do here is you make Meow Meow with your kid. You get ashed on your Prank Kid. Doesn't matter. We have Pandemonium. We use Pandemonium. We fuse the kid in the Meow. Make the Doodle. Trigger the Prank Kid and the Doodle. Prank Kid summons the another Prank Kid, in this case Fancies. Doodle add Pranks, then you activate Doodle, add back the Pandemonium plus the Prank Kid, activate Pranks, discard the Prank Kid, special a token, make a second Doodle, trigger your Prank Kid, summon the last Prank Kid. Fancies in this case will mill the Prank Kid's place. Here you go into Bow Wow, use Roxy's, banish a card from hand, special prank kit from deck. This prank kit has to be a butler name, of course. The best butler name to end on is Fancies because it has 2000 defense. Then you set the Pandemonium. Then you trigger the pranks. Shuffle back the Doodle, the Rocket, and the butler name in your grave that has the same name as your one on the field, which is Fancies in this case. You draw your card. You use Bow Wow in your opponent's standby or draw phase, doesn't matter. Add back the 2 names. Since you drew one of the names off of pranks, you could also add the place instead, which is better for playing around disruption on your following turn, as you can chain block your kids with the place. And you have Butler set up through the Ash. That was that combo. Moving on to our next. In this combo, I'm going to show you what to do if you get ashed on your prank kit. If you open 2 prank kits and a pranks. This also works if you have instant fusion. So you go normal summon, you get ashed. Unfortunate, but you use the pranks, discard your prank kit, summon the token, make Doodle, Doodle effect, search Pandemonium, add back the 2 names, and then set the Pandemonium, and you have Washer set up. Keep in mind, if you already opened another prank kid, you have Butler set up here. That's that combo. Moving on to our next. In this combo, I'll be showing you how to play through Nib if you open Instant Fusion. So you just go for the standard 1-card combo. Summon Fancies, make Doodle, trigger Fancies, add Pandemonium. If you go to this board, your opponent will always Nibiru here, because otherwise you can just Doodle, add back the 2 names, and you have Butler set up, and you don't need to extend anyway. If they nib you here, which we're assuming they do, we tribute our board, summon the token. It's fine. We opened Instant Fusion. Literally doesn't matter. Summon the Rocket, effect of Rocket, summon back the Doodle and the prank kit we haven't used yet. Use Doodle to add back the pranks and a prank kit. Use the pranks, discard the prank kit, special prank kit's token, link the prank kit's token and the dropsies for a second Doodle, trigger the dropsies, summon the last prank kit, link them both into Bow Wow, trigger the prank kit, summon a Butler name. I think Fancies is the best to end on. Set the Pandemonium. End phase, activate pranks, put back the second Doodle, put back the duplicate name, and put back the Roxies. It's your choice to either put back the Roxies or the Rocket, but I think having the name in deck is better. And you draw 1. Obviously right now this draw isn't really impactful. Then in your opponent's turn, you add the 2 names. You have Butler set up. You can go for Butler Washer, whatever your opponent's playing, you can decide. It's a very technical deck. You need to make decisions for what deck you're playing against. If you're playing control deck, Washer is always better than Butler, of course. Starting 5 monsters is too much for most control decks to handle. Alright, moving on to the next combo. Moving on to our last combo here. This is what you do if your Doodle gets imperm. So here we start off with a normal summon prank kid, summon the Meow, summon the Fancies, summon Doodle. So you would go Doodle 1, Fancies 2. If they go imperm chainlink free on Doodle. Off of Fancies you send Pandemonium and you summon the last Butler name. Then you go into a second Doodle. You summon Fancies. You use the Doodle to add back the Pandemonium and a name. Set the Pandemonium and pass. If you open 2 names here, you would have Butler access. It's very likely for you to open 2 names. Otherwise, this is just a Washer setup. Keep in mind, you will still have three other cards in hand. This deck is all about gaining advantage, controlling the game. Usually you'll end your turns with 6 to 7 cards in hand, with 3 of them being hand traps, interruptions, etc. Your opponents will really struggle to deal with such advantage if you play the deck correctly. Like, this isn't really a combo oriented deck. Like, if you learn these combos, you pretty much know how to play the deck. This deck really is about technical play and making the correct decisions, managing resources, and not making silly mistakes, as silly mistakes could actually make you lose the game in this deck, as every choice is very important. Okay, that was the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned how to play Prank Kids a little better now. If you have any more questions about the deck, you can DM me on Discord at minifez #3450. Or you can Discord me on Dueling Book if I'm online, minifez, or even just drop a comment down. I'll make sure to respond. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. And I'll see you guys next time.
I wanna see you in slow motion. Come stay the night, we can stay up till it's bright in the morning, got the top open.